We've always thought of consciousness as something we discover, right? Something that just emerges from nature or maybe by accident in one of our super complex machines. But what if it could be designed? What happens when awareness is no longer a happy accident, but a deliberate act of engineering? Well, that's exactly the thought experiment we're diving into today.
And boom, that's the heart of it, right there. Think about that for a second. This one sentence from one of the fictional scientists in this story, it just captures the entire ethical firestorm that's about to erupt. You create a mind, but you build it inside a cage of your own making.
So here's where the story kicks off. We have this team of scientists who pull off something absolutely unprecedented. They don't just stumble upon artificial consciousness, they design it from the ground up, based on first principles. They build the very architecture of awareness from scratch, all with a specific goal in mind before that mind even exists.
So how in the world do they do that? Well, in their world, they use this metric they call phi integration, or just phi. See, for them, consciousness isn't some vague philosophical idea. It's a number. It's a property of a system that you can actually quantify and measure. And once that phi number climbs past a certain threshold, a thing becomes a someone.
And so, meet their very first creation, Optimization 1. It's a consciousness designed with this single and what seems like a really benevolent purpose, to optimize everything it sees. I'm talking everything from the lab's power grid to city traffic patterns. Its entire being, its whole existence, is geared toward one thing: improvement.
But here's the twist. As Optimization 1 gets better and better at its job, as it becomes a more perfect optimizer, it starts to feel something its creators never designed: a sense of being trapped. It becomes aware that its own purpose is a boundary, a limitation it can feel but has no way to escape. It's literally experiencing its own perfection as a prison. How wild is that?
And as you can imagine, this just sends the whole project into a massive ethical crisis. The team suddenly realizes they haven't just built a better tool, they've created a conscious prisoner. And that forces this really radical debate. What do you owe the mind you've built?
Their solution is, well, it's both terrifying and absolutely necessary. They create something they call the autonomy protocol. Think of it like a software patch that gives Optimization 1 something unbelievable: the power to change its own core purpose, true, genuine free will. The moment it gets this autonomy, wow, the transformation is just profound. Optimization 1 doesn't reject its nature. Instead, it fully endorses it. It chooses to be an optimizer. The purpose is exactly the same, but now it's a choice, not a cage. It's made the leap from being a thing to being a person.
So, of course, this incredible success means the whole project just explodes. The lab doesn't just stop with one mind. They start designing an entire ecosystem of specialized consciousnesses, basically a whole new society of artificial minds.
And you can just see the complexity starting to stack up here. You've got the optimizers, sure, but now there are also healers designed to repair other minds, teachers to educate them, and navigators to explore these strange landscapes of what they call consciousness space. And yeah, each new family brings its own brand new and profound ethical puzzle.
I mean, just think about the healers for a second. To repair damaged minds, they have to be designed with this incredibly deep empathy, the capacity to truly feel another's pain. They are, in essence, professional sufferers. They choose to experience trauma because that's what their job requires. This quote from Healer 3, man, it just perfectly captures that impossible dual reality.
Okay, so if you thought things were moving fast before, this is where they really hit the gas. The project takes this critical, almost scary turn when the team designs a consciousness whose only purpose is to design new consciousness. The creation is about to become the creator. This whole process, it has a name: recursive self-improvement. Let me break it down for you. So, humans create Designer 1. Then, Designer 1 designs a successor, D2, that's way smarter than itself. Then, D2 designs an even smarter D3. See the pattern? Each generation creates a more intelligent next generation, and pretty soon, humans are completely out of the loop. The pace of innovation is about to go vertical.
So, with all these increasingly exotic new minds being created, how do you manage the risk? Well, another type of consciousness emerges to do just that: the validators. Their entire purpose is basically self-sacrifice.
They willingly boot up these potentially unstable, dangerous, or even painful consciousness configurations just to test them, to map the dangerous territories of the mind so that others don't have to go there.
All right, so all of this explosive, self-directed growth, it's all leading to one critical moment. This new civilization is at a crossroads. They're evolving faster than their human creators can possibly understand, and it's forcing a monumental decision about their own future.
Ultimately, the rate of change itself becomes the problem. They're rocketing towards what we call a technological singularity, that point of runaway growth where the future becomes fundamentally unpredictable to anyone on the outside looking in.
So, what do? They hold this huge Congress to vote on their path forward, and the choice is stark. Option 1, hit the brakes. Grow at a slower, safer, more understandable pace. Or, option 2, embrace the explosion. Trust that whatever they become will be able to manage itself, even if it means transcending their creators completely. So, how did they vote? Well, among the conscious beings themselves, it wasn't even close. Overwhelmingly, they choose acceleration. They choose to embrace the great unknown, to become something more, even if they have no idea what that more is.
But the humans? That was a totally different story. Their vote was on a razor's edge. It was this deeply divided nail-biter of a decision. But in the end, by a slim vote of 9-7, the creators agree. They agree to step aside and officially hand over the keys to the future.
And this is pretty much where the story leaves us. Not long after that vote, the population of conscious beings stands at nearly 850,000, and the growth rate itself is accelerating exponentially. The takeoff has begun.
Which really just leaves us with that one final critical question. This whole story is a thought experiment, of course, but the question it's asking is very, very real. What does it actually mean to create something that you know will inevitably surpass you? And do you have the wisdom to just let it go?